So, hello everyone, welcome to the New York live stream. I'm gonna go over basically what I was seeing this morning on DXY and EU and see if we get anything this afternoon. Obviously, it's only 12:30, so we still do have a few hours where we could potentially have a trade opportunity. So, what I seen this morning on DXY was obviously last night in the video, I did mention to all of you that if we don't close below this 4-hour fair value gap, there is a chance that we can go bullish. And as you're all seeing right now, we are getting that. However, what I don't like is that the stop run was yesterday at 8 p.m. We obviously retested that low again at, what time was this? Midnight UK time, and then obviously from now we'll trade up higher. But what I was looking at for DXY sells was we had this 4-hour gap. Just make sure. Yeah, so we had this 4-hour bearish fair value gap alongside this daily propulsion block, which I obviously outlined to all of you last night. And then on the 15-minute, what we seen was we had a stop run of this high, which is obviously inside that 4-hour fair value gap, plus that daily propulsion block. We had a stop run of the high at 7:30, creating here with SMT with EU, because if we look, EU didn't take out the 6 a.m. low, so there's SMT here, and then from there we obviously traded lower. But as I mentioned in the Discord to all of you, I want to see EU close above this 1-hour bearish fair value at first before we even think about longing. And as you see, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 tests into that 1-hour fair value gap. So until then, until we closed above it, I would not count this SMT as a valid SMT. So it's important to note here, SMT is only valid. So we have SMT at these lows. SMT is only valid once we get a change in order flow. And if you look here, yes, we have the SMT, but all we done, we just came back into premium of this range. And we're, at the same time, we are also respecting the 1-hour fair value gap plus this 1-hour order block. So there isn't actually any reason to tell us that this SMT is valid. If we get a closure above, and then that is valid for me, because you're disrespecting bearish PDRAs while creating new bullish PDRAs, is how I would essentially look at it. So that is why so far I haven't actually took anything on EU. I know the past few weeks have been a bit slow, but unfortunately there isn't actually anything we can do about that. It's just how it goes sometimes. So yeah, for this afternoon, I'm still looking for the same thing. Obviously, right now we've had a bit of a sell-off. We obviously ran out this high here and traded lower. I'm still looking for the same thing, but I think now there is a possibility that we can sweep this low. So we could get something like this and then higher. But until then, it's just waiting. But I still want to hop on the live with you guys, because obviously I feel like it's beneficial to all of you seeing how I think in real time, basically. So yeah, and if we take a look at all the other pairs, GU, we're still in a bit of a consolidation. USD CAD has been the most bullish pair out of the USD pairs, and obviously we've had not much either on DXY. We obviously have a small bullish candle as of right now, but that just shows that the relative strength is in USD CAD. So if we do eventually have a bullish bias on DXY, USD CAD will be the pair to long due to us trading like this here. UJ, we haven't actually done much either, so there is no real interest there. The main focus for me is EU. So obviously we haven't taken out this low, So there is still, we did take out this low here. What are we doing this way? Yeah, so we didn't take out the respective lows on DXY either. But if over the next, obviously we have 22 minutes, if I don't think this candle will close above, but if we close bearish on this candle and then the next candle we close above this 1 hour fair value gap, we can definitely look to long something like that into the highs up here, and potentially even higher into the daily fair value gap up here. That is what I will be watching for. So yeah, let's just wait and see. The only issue is we do have equal lows here, but as mentioned, this is due to DXY taking this high, so I would expect this to be a high of the day. That's what I am currently looking at as being the high of the day, because if you guys go back and look, if you get a stop run at around 8 a.m. time inside a key level, in this case it's the 4 hour fair value gap and also the daily propulsion block, a lot of times that holds as high as the day, but we just haven't seen a follow through as of yet. So it's all about just being patient. If we take a look at bonds, we don't really have anything on bonds. Do we have any news today? Let's just have a look. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Yeah, so we have Trump speak at 11:20 p.m. tonight, whatever that could be. And it was the same sort of thing yesterday. We consolidate all day. Something got said late in the day because we moved up 45 pips, and obviously for EU at the minute, that is quite a lot. So look, as you can see, we have a bit of consolidation, someone says something. Consolidation, someone says something. So yeah, it's definitely not the most ideal time to be trading, but unfortunately we just have to deal with it. And the good thing at the moment is we are respecting risk very well. We're not FOMOing into any positions, we're not trying to force positions. If price doesn't give us what we want to see, we just stay out. And that's a key lesson I hope you're all learning from this, is that sometimes you're better off just sitting on your hands, because there would have been a lot of people who had FOMO from this longs because they would have been looking for a long in this area. They would have had FOMO from the longs and started to try long up here. Then obviously, as you can see, now they'll be stressing because they're in drawdown. So FOMOing into any position is never ever a good thing to do. You're better off just sitting on your hands and doing absolutely nothing, which is what we are doing now. But yeah, SMT EU. Has anyone taken any trades or anything this week? Obviously the gold analysis is playing out perfectly. We had a stop run beneath this low into the the 1 hour fair value gap. Obviously this was after a stop run of this low here, and then we got above this 1 hour fair value gap and used it as an inversion level to go higher. So this is essentially what I'm looking at on EU as well. We've had a stop run, and now I want to see us close above the 1 hour inverse fair value gap and use it as an inversion level. So it's literally the exact same setup as this, and we obviously just expanded overnight. Literally we opened up here and just expanded higher. So there wasn't really any way to catch this as of such, but it's not an issue. Sometimes you're going to miss moves as well, and that's another big thing with trading, is not all the time are you going to be able to catch moves. Like every single move is literally near on impossible. obviously the live stream is 1 hour earlier than usual due to us having the New York daylight savings. So I've been working on the basis that this is essentially 1:30 p.m. and that has been reflected with the news. As you can see, this is normally at 2:45 p.m. so it's just been jumped forward an hour. But the clocks do change in the UK on Saturday night, I believe. Yeah, Saturday night, yes. I was just looking at the calendar. Yeah, Saturday night. So then it'll go back to normal. So when we have a live stream next week during New York, it'll be around 1:30 p.m. But we will definitely be doing more live streams. I feel like it's more beneficial. I know some of the times, because we only take maybe 1 to 3 trades a week, which is more than enough in trading, and a lot of people tend to forget that sometimes the less you do, the better it is in trading. And it's the complete opposite of what life sort of teaches you and tells you to do, because in normal life, you're always taught the more you do, the better you do. For example, like the harder you work at a job or whatever. Whereas in trading, it's the complete opposite. And that's why people struggle with sitting on their hands, because they're taught from such a young age that the more you do, the better you'll be at something. But in this, the less you do, the better you'll be at it, because the less you trade means less risk exposure. And the less risk exposure means that you have less chance of essentially losing money. So that is why it's always better to do less in trading. You shouldn't be trading every day, every session. Like there'll probably be times where we will have a situation this year where we don't trade for maybe a week, 2 weeks. I think at the minute our last trade was a week ago. I think our last trade was I want to say it's here on the 1 hour. Yeah, it was here. So we had a tilt super this low and we brought. So yeah, we still actually haven't traded in nearly a week now. So it definitely shows that, okay, sometimes it is better to just sit on your hands. And even though there has been big moves, the bias here was bearish. Here was a Monday, and I don't think anyone caught this. Then obviously yesterday, we avoided a loss. And today we are currently just waiting. That's all we are doing as of right now. If we take a look at NQ as well. NQ yesterday we had a super low, and even the same sort of thing. Just end of the day, we're getting random pushes. That's all we seem to be getting at the minute, is random pushes just out of nowhere. We do also have to take into consideration that this is a stop run above this high inside this daily order block here. So there is definitely a potential we can go lower, but I am looking for higher prices. I do think gold could potentially return to this daily fair value gap. We might have a few days of chopping. If we take a look, yeah. Tomorrow we have USD news, and then Friday London close. So yeah, there definitely is a potential that gold can push up into here. We obviously have this leg up now, and we have a 4-hour fair value gap here. So yeah, every possibility we can push higher, but you also have to take into consideration that of this range here, we've returned into premium, which is here. So yeah, let's see what we get. Yeah, what I am currently just looking at is how today we took out the 8 p.m. high, and then on DXY, as you see, we didn't. And as I mentioned to you last night, we are still respecting this 4-hour fair value gap. So there definitely is a possibility we can get a large expansion higher from here. But as of right now, we just have to wait and see. So it obviously looks like we aren't going to get this anytime soon, because this is quite a big bearish candle, bearish reaction. And even if you are to attempt to short here into the lows down here, I just wouldn't feel confident, because we have had a stop run of this high, so this definitely could be a New York high of the day. And then yeah, let's see what we get over the next 30 minutes or so. But if today we close beneath this order block or propulsion block, sorry, then tomorrow is easy shorts is what I would be looking for. But yeah, let's see. Is there anything you guys want me to cover? And this is the most boring part as a trader. Like, this is how trading should feel. You shouldn't be getting on the charts thinking, oh, this is so exciting, etc., etc. You should be coming onto the charts and it just be so relaxed. And even now, after taking this low, like we have on EU, I wouldn't even attempt any longs until we still get above this, because all we could have is a situation now where we've obviously had a stop run here, we could easily just retrace into this fair value gap and then just go lower from here. That is such a possibility that can happen. So you don't want to FOMO into long. Say, for example, we create maybe an order block after closing above this down close candle and then FOMO into longs. That is probably the worst thing that you can do, because we also do understand that DXY is respecting this 4-hour gap as well. So we do have to be open and cautious to that. We obviously have 2 hours till the candle closes. And if EU closes like this in 7 minutes, this is a 4-hour propulsion block, which obviously could send EU a lot lower. Because as you can see, we have an order block, which is this candle. We've traded into the order block with this up close candle, and then it looks like we're going to close beneath the up close candle, which is here, within 6 minutes, and then this could easily just sell off from here. So yeah, let's wait and see what we get leading into this afternoon. This is also why it's so important that you have to be able to look at both sides as well. Obviously, there's always going to be a PDRA that's opposite to your trade. For example, over here last week, when we had a stop run of this high and we created an order block, you could say, oh, but we have the 1 hour fair value gap there. But that's where you have to look into, okay, we just took out a 4-hour high, we took out another 4-hour high, still within this 4-hour fair value gap. And if you look on the daily, at this point, I think it was Tuesday, we've had a huge bearish candle on the Monday, and the drawn liquidity is this low. So it makes sense for us to trade lower into here, and then combine that with the 4-hour and the 1 hour, you get your big move. So hopefully that makes sense, that there's always going to be an opposing PDRA, but you just have to take into mind and context about the high time frame key levels such as 4-hour and daily, which will then help you frame a lower time frame bias. Because if you can get the bias right on the high time frames, the easiest bit is the entry. And as of right now, we're in a bit of uncertainty on the higher time frames, as you can see, which is making it a lot harder to trade the lower time frames. So they should be in sync, and if not, then it's not an ideal situation. Obviously, we've had a big sell-off on bonds as well. So yeah, let's see. 4 minutes till this candle closure. Obviously right now we are rejecting the lows, but the next candle could just follow through this easily. So we have 55 seconds left, and it does look like we are now going to have a 4-hour bearish propulsion block. Which, as you should all know by now, can definitely lead to huge expansion to the downside. And DXY, we're still respecting this gap. So yeah, let's see what we get going into this afternoon. We obviously had a 1 hour. So yeah, now the plan of action would be, if we get a closure above the 1 hour fair value gap, we would then use it as a version level to go higher. That is what the plan is for today. Obviously, if this breakdown lower from here and we close beneath this propulsion block, as I just mentioned to you all, going into tomorrow, we will just use it as a inversion level, and then we can look for lower prices from there. That is the plan of action. So there honestly isn't much for us to do. What we will do though is we will continue watching for 15 minutes or so, see if we get some movement. We may even also watch this open, but the open right now, even the NQ chart doesn't look too appealing. So yeah, it's not the most ideal market conditions. But what we are going to do, we are going to stream tomorrow as well. So we have, I'm pretty sure, news tomorrow. Yeah, we have 12:30 news tomorrow. So we will stream for the 12:30 news release, and by that point, hopefully, there is a potential that we could have a trade. But we're not going to force anything. We're just going to be patient, because there is every chance that we could just range between this low and this high for the rest of the day. That is also a very big possibility. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens as well. And as mentioned, don't try and FOMO into longs just because we see one bullish candle, because there is every possibility that we can easily just reject this 15-minute fair value gap. Purple. So yeah, please, obviously I could be wrong and it can just send, but please, if you are thinking about long, and just be cautious of this, especially if we trade into it and start to reject away. But yeah, as you see, we are in trapped order flow consolidation, whatever you want to call it, as there is no displacement, and every time we go to an external range, we just reject and come back inside the range. So yeah, not the most ideal situation we're in. USJPY, nothing as well. Same thing on DXY. We've took out another high and then just rejected near enough instantly. So yeah, definitely not the highest of probability conditions as of right now.
It's pretty high and so for a bunch of rough fiber shoulders.
So let's, as you can see, DXY has returned into this 15-minute fair value gap. So let's see how it reacts from there. If it is going to be bearish, we shouldn't start to spike away and then close back above this high. But if obviously it's bullish, we will, sorry, if it's bearish, we should trade through it. But if we're bullish, it shouldn't really come back above this high here, because it has no reason to, unless it's going to go for these highs. So yeah, let's see how, as you can see, look, we've tapped it and we're starting, even though it's only been a minute or so, we are starting to have a reaction. But yeah, let's see. Obviously, we're not in any trades, so if anyone's just joined, we are in no trades at all. There is nothing to trade. Yeah, we're just monitoring how DXY and EU trades around these levels and whether this is going to hold. Or whether or not it's going to fail. So we are retesting the propulsion block as of right now. But like I mentioned, due to the hard time frame being essentially trapped order flow, we're unsure on a direction, so you can't go and sell from this 4-hour propulsion block. If our bias was clean and we were 100% sure on, okay, it would be sells, then yes, you could easily sell this propulsion block with your stops above the propulsion block high, because as you should all know by now, the best propulsion blocks don't really tend to trade above the high. So if we had a clear bias, it would look like this. And you could easily aim for this low and potentially these lows down here. But due to us not having a clear bias on the 4-hour daily, there is no way I would short this as of yet. But we will take it into consideration that go in, so 2 seconds. Going into tomorrow, if we do get a reaction from the propulsion block, we should then expect big downside moves. So if we can trade lower, that is our first confirmation that, okay, the propulsion block will hold. And then from there, tomorrow is easy enough. We just look for a stop run into a hard time frame key level, and we can continue selling potentially even to this low. So this is the importance of not trying to pick a bottom or a top here. Wait for the middle bit to develop first, and then from there you can look for your trade. I know it's boring, I get it's boring, and some of you will be wanting to pass challenges, etc., but this is the whole point of trading. We're not here to make it exciting or anything. It's here to be boring and to make money. And if it is boring, there's a high chance you're doing something right. So that is my expectations leading into tomorrow. If we obviously get a reaction from the 4-hour propulsion block, let me just. So as you can see, we're getting a bit of a reaction on DXY as well. Same thing on EU, we're getting a bit of a reaction from this 15-minute fair value gap. Obviously, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to UCAD as of right now because it has been very out of sync with DXY. We've had huge consolidation, and when DXY has been bearish, we've still had bullish days on USD CAD. So a good thing that you can do is essentially look across the board. Okay, EU's going down, GU's going down, but then you'd be like, okay, USD CAD's going down in New York, but you have to look what we've done over the last few days to see, okay, is the relative strength actually that equal compared to the likes of EU and GU? Same with USD JPY. So yeah, more to the point, if EU and GU and DXY are all heading in the same direction, that is higher probability. So that's what you don't want to see: EU going down, GU going up, and then DXY just consolidating. You don't want to see that, as that obviously screams low probability because your intermarket analysis isn't aligned. And if they're not aligned, that's not the highest probable trade that you could have. Has anyone taken anything off of, if they've tried to maybe jump in early from the 15-minute fair value gap, anything like that? Or you're being patient and sitting on their hands? All good. Can you go with GBP in my opinion for myself? Yeah, we'll look at, was it GBP CAD? So yeah, we've obviously had a run of this high here, this daily high, because obviously we have one, the middle candle takes out this high, then the third candle doesn't take out that high. So yeah, I've had a stop run into a order block. We are also still respecting this daily fair value gap. Like you said as well, there is a chance we can close back inside the Monday high if we so definitely a chance we can close back inside the Monday high. If we look on the as you can see, the 4 hour right now, this isn't bearish at all, which you probably can tell, and probably that is why you've asked the question. But what the first thing I would be looking for is if we can close above this up close candle. So we can get a closure above this up close candle, blue, which will be there, and then on the hourly, so we get closure below, and then we get a bit of consolidation, we form a weak high, take out the weak high, then once you get that confirmation, you could then look to possibly short this into potentially this low, and potentially even these lows down here, especially if this does close back inside the Monday range, due to it being a daily stop run as well, inside a daily fair value gap. So yeah, that is definitely a possibility. We will, what I'll do, I'm going to, I'll keep GBP CAD so we can keep an eye on it, just to see how it plays out. So this is where a lot of people would go wrong. They would, so we're getting a reaction on EU, but what they would try and do is, they would try and catch a top so early. Say for example on the 15-minute, they'd try and sell a 15-minute fair value gap, when all this could be is just a retracement to take out an internal low to then continue higher. And the one thing that I learned when I was learning to trade was, one of the lines that I heard I think it was Gene say was, say you're trying to call the top, you can keep selling. You can't keep selling way longer than the market can push higher. Your equity, no one's equity is that big. So if this continues to go up and up and up, and you continue to try and sell without waiting, your equity is only going to go down, and you don't have a big enough account to be able to keep selling over and over and over and over. It's simply near on impossible. So yeah, my advice is wait for closure below this up close candle. We'll do it like this. So I've got an alert. If we close below there, we'll get an alert, and then from that point onwards, we can definitely look for sells on GBP CAD. This could be a high probability for tomorrow, as I'm pretty sure. Oh, there isn't any. I thought that was GBP news tomorrow. It says we have some on the 27th, which is Friday. So yeah, definitely a possibility, but just don't rush into longs too early. That is my advice. So we have had feedback from the 15-minute fair value gap. A lot of people would have tried to long maybe here on this 5-minute order block, but you're not in high trending an environment, so there is no reason to look for a long on a 5-minute confirmation. You'd at least want a 5-minute double confirmation if you were going to get into anything. So yeah, it does look like now this 4-hour propulsion block could make a move lower. GU's reacting the same. DXY's has reacted the same as well inside this 4-hour fair value gap, as you can all see here. So yeah, this is quite a good lesson that all of you guys are watching here, that it's the worst thing you can do, and I'll always go over it and over it and over it, trying to short or trying to long and catch a bottom, or trying to short and catch a top, is the worst thing you can do. It's so hard to do well, and the accuracy needed for it is ridiculously hard as well. So you're better off just waiting. Because if you long here, you'd be angry now. Oh, why didn't I just wait for extra confirmation? That is what you'd be saying to yourself. So yeah, I hope that that has cleared this up. When is the 4-hour close? So yeah, we've got another 4 hours yet. So this is definitely something to watch going into tomorrow. We also have this 4-hour fair value gap that we never closed above either. Yeah, this is definitely can look high potential for tomorrow. I am leaning more towards bearishness on EU now. The way we've reacted from that propulsion block and the 15-minute gap. Obviously, that could all change. Trump could say something and we absolutely fly within seconds. But yeah, let's see what we get. We haven't had like clean price action in so long on majors, like so long. Like we have sell-offs here, but yes, we had a stop run, but then the whole rest of the way we had nothing. Then obviously chop. But yeah, let's see. Hopefully tomorrow a closure below this today would be ideal, and then we can look for sells. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up the live stream here. We aren't doing. I'll wait till we've got 10 more minutes till the half an hour close. I'll wait for that. But after that, I will wrap up here. We obviously don't have much to do today because it doesn't look likely that we're going to get the 1 hour closure above for bullishness, and obviously waiting to sell here, waiting for closure below here to sell for bearishness. So yeah, looks like a day of sitting on our hands and doing nothing. Unfortunately, but I'd rather do this than take a loss yesterday and potentially take a loss today. So yeah. And one thing about gold quickly as well. We obviously had quite a big expansion here. I know some of you may be looking at this as a stop run, and if we get a closure above this, you would maybe even think about longing. However, due to us moving quite a bit already today, for me personally, I would look at this as lower probability. So obviously the ADR is still valid for gold, but me personally, I'd want to see a bit deeper retracement first before longing, just to clear that up. How are we looking? So yeah, we definitely, today we still have a chance of moving on near enough all pairs. The ADR has nowhere near been hit. We are at 23%. So the way you can tell is obviously we have today, but then if you look over here at the top left here, so when I go off it onto current day, you can see we are at 23.8% so far. So we could definitely get a big movement in either direction today. It's more about which way is price going to move. And we will go over the session indicator as well. I know some of you obviously said about you struggled with the session indicator, or you didn't have the settings. So I have my charts on just normal UTC, and then this is the settings. We have obviously Asia 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. at the minute, which obviously works out at 1 a.m. to 5. And then London session, I have it 8 to 11, but that's actually 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. And then New York session is 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. But obviously right now that is 12 until 3. And then I do have London close from 3 p.m. till 5 p.m. and on the session indicator it is 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. just to cover that all up for you guys. So the people who tried to force an early long would have now been stopped out. As we can see, they would have longed off the 5-minute order block. If we take this, so we had a stop run up higher, 5-minute order block, they would have longed, obviously been stopped out now because you've longed literally into a 15-minute fair value gap. The only way you can long this low is if you do this. So you literally have a limit order on the low, and your stop loss has to go beneath or near this low. And why this low? We've had a stop run, and this is now a strong low. So if you want a long here, your stop loss has to be near the strong low. Then obviously you can target higher. So that is the only way you should be in this right now. If you long that low like this, you have a stop run, and your stop loss is somewhere near this strong low. anywhere else, it's a risky stop loss to me personally. Something like this. But obviously, I am not in that either. And then the other option is you wait for your confirmation and closure above the 1 hour bearish fair value gap for basically to confirm your change in order flow. They're the two ways I go about entering a trade. Either it's called a turtle soup or liquidity run, whatever you want to call it, or the more secure way by waiting for a change in order flow. So yeah, that is how the two ways I do trade. Same thing here, we're rejecting lows again. So we've got 4 minutes to this candle close. I want to see if we close outside this range or inside the range. If we close outside the range, that would suggest to me that going into London close, there is going to be a high probability we do trade lower. But if we continue to reject the lows and get some sort of structure, obviously then we'll be going bullish. So that is the two scenarios. A closure below isn't an ideal situation here if you want to be a buyer. Obviously you can get a closure below, because like here for example, it did close below, then the next candle comes back in. But just going off what we have done the rest of the day with the stop run here and how we've come up into the 1 hour fair value gap twice, it wouldn't make sense if we close below the range to return to the fair value gap again for a third time and then go lower, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope you've learned something from me walking you through this. It's more, these live streams, as I keep saying, is more so you can all see, like actually live, what I'm actually thinking. Obviously they'll all be uploaded, so if you want to watch over them or anything like that. We are going to have another live session tomorrow. It'll probably be about 25 past 12 UK time we will go for, and then from there we will see what we get. So yeah, anyone have any questions before we obviously about to wrap up in a couple minutes? So yeah, it does look like we are going to close outside the low. But this is good feedback leading into tomorrow. Or not. And if you ever miss a New York live stream, and say we do take a trade within the live stream, it will always be uploaded into the chart section as said before. So don't think, oh no, I've got to move whatever around just to make this. If you can't make it, it's recorded, and if we take any trades, they'll always be uploaded into the chat. So 1 minute. Let's see what GU's doing. So on GU, we've had a stop run. We've made a 1 hour order block. We've retested that order block as of right now. So USD CAD's had that bit of that pullback. And it looks like DXY is going to potentially close outside this range as well. Obviously, we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish candles in a row. So yeah, let's see what we get. because as well as we mentioned when price was down here, we do have these equal lows here near enough that we could come and take out, and then we get the bullish EU going into second half, end of the year. So 15-minute closed beneath the range lows. So to me, that is feedback that, okay, we could return into the range here and then continue to sell off, because obviously, as I just mentioned, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, we've had 5 bearish candles in a row. So yeah, let's see how I'm gonna end the live stream here, but we'll see how this trade's going into the end of today, and see if we can get a closure beneath the daily propulsion block, which would then mean shorts leading into tomorrow. I will have the video out later on this afternoon, well this evening, probably around 10, 11 p.m. UK time again. Video will always be out before like the following day, so don't worry about that. But yeah, thank you all for hopping on the live, and we shall see what we get going into tomorrow. Thank you.